Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another teacher talk session tonight. And tonight we are going to have another very important educator for reality world. And he is a teacher trainer and consultant, an author, blogger, and chief learning officer of Momentum Learning Solutions. Dr. Tony Gurr, aka the educational Enişte, as you know him. Most of you know him very well, but some of you maybe wonder what's gonna happen and know about him and want to know what he's going to say us tonight. So when he comes, I'll directly start our live sessions. I'm really excited to have him here tonight. Let me invite him. And I don't want to waste time. Yes, I have invited Tony to Teacher Talk sessions. This is a really great moment for all of us to have him here. I'm waiting for him to accept. Yes, let me invite him one more time. Yeah, I have invited him. And yes. Yes, there he is.
So,
Tony, hello. It's great to see you. Can you hear me?
yes, yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, wonderful. It's great to see you here, Tony, in Teacher Talk session tonight. I'm really happy to see this moment just with other audiences, and I would like to say thank you to accept my invitation to Teacher Talk session and being my guest tonight.
No, my pleasure, Hoja, my pleasure. But you'll notice I've actually shaved.
Yeah, me too.
I saw Nick a couple of videos ago, and
Yeah.
oh my God, his grey beard makes him look so old. I'm shaving it off.
Yeah. Okay. I won't. I won't, Tony. I won't. And so I know that we are all busy and you are busy. So if you are ready, we can start.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. And most of us know you very well because you are very famous among Turkish teachers as an educational enişte. And but some of other our listeners would like to know about you. If it's okay, can you tell us about yourself, please, and a bit about your experiences?
Sure. Well, I'm a husband, a father, a dog owner, and I haven't left my house for nearly 15 months. That's it.
Oh.
No. I mean, obviously, people sort of know that. People might not know that I was in Istanbul when I got back from Melbourne. Yeah, but just before the COVID pandemic, I actually moved to Ankara, which is my family village.
Oh, very nice.
I was in Ankara really the first time I came to live in Turkey, which was what, 85, 86. Yeah.
Really?
Time.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, were you born then, Volkan Hoca?
No, I was born in 1985. The year that I was born, you came.
God, you made me feel so old. Yeah.
No, you look great.
No, so that's when I started living here. I did actually have a kind of Erasmus placement when I was at university, and that's when I first came to Turkey.
Yeah.
But then I went back, finished up school, and came back and started off as a teacher. I actually wanted to be a mathematics teacher, but nobody would hire me. They just said,
Oh.
British people are terrible at maths, but you can be an English teacher. And also at the time, I mean, my plan was actually to earn a little bit of money through teaching, because I actually wanted to go into journalism. That was my plan, but I discovered that I was terrible at journalism. Yeah, not too bad at teaching, so I stayed in the teaching. Yeah, so I mean that goes back a long way. I did actually leave Turkey for a little bit in the, when was this? This would have been 92, 93. And I see a little bit more. I was in the Middle East. I was Abu Dhabi, Dubai, you know, quite a lot. And I was building up experience there as well. But again, if I was really honest, you told me to be honest, yeah?
Of course.
The Middle East, because, you know, we had a young daughter. In Turkey, we can't get good school fees, you know, for our kids. So it was about my daughter a good education without killing me. Because I knew I would be in the Middle East, I'd be able to save more money. And the plan was always to come back to Turkey. Yeah,
I see.
Because of the work I did there, I got opportunities in America, in China. Yeah, well, that kind of really came when I moved to Australia. I moved to Australia, and there, my wife wasn't very happy. I mean, Australia is just so far.
Yeah, I can imagine about it.
Living in Dubai, it was very easy for her to come home and see her family, you know, but Australia was tough for her. Yeah. My daughter decided to go to university in England. So, you know, we came back. I was going to go into semi-retirement, but people didn't leave me alone. So I haven't been able to semi-retire yet. Yeah.
I see.
The pandemic has helped me a little bit. My traveling and staying in hotels, you know, I haven't missed it. You know, I know lots of people look forward to a job, stay in hotels and travel and fly around. No, you know, so that's been good. I've still been able to do the same amount of work, but it's they use online now. You know, that's the thing. And the travel, it's great. I'm really happy.
Yeah. I can imagine. It's really great for you about it. Without traveling, giving all the education. Definitely. All right. Thank you. Very good experiences. And will you add more, or that's it?
Well, I think a lot of people know what I do.
Yeah, I see.
Meaning, I do a lot of work with schools wanting to improve curriculum and assessment. You know, I do a fair bit of that work. Leadership work, which is a very important thing, I think, for us. And so I have a small company that I work through.
I see.
Whenever possible, I do some pro bono work as well. You know, maybe places that haven't got a budget, you know, I'll go and do something.
I see.
teacher training
Nice.
for them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also doing a fair bit of work with students themselves. You
I
know,
see.
I have student webinars where, especially for ELT teachers or
Yeah.
kids in Hasselhoff, you know, I've done a lot of those recently,
Mm-hmm.
especially about, you know, motivation, study plans, how they should approach their learning and
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Mhm.
I see. It's a very a very tough things to do and takes really time.
I like it. I do like it because I've always missed the classroom. You know,
Ah,
in
yeah.
Istanbul, I used to do some voluntary work in schools,
Mm-hmm.
but since I've been back, it's been difficult. You know, schools have been
I
closed.
see.
I didn't get the opportunity to do something. I mean, even if it's like just, you know, one day a week where I can go and help a school.
Mm-hmm.
Often it's a devlet okulu. You know, they haven't
I
money, you know, or good English
I
teacher.
You are
Um,
right.
so I will go and do some work there, even, you know, once a week or twice a week, half a day, you know, something like that. Yeah. Hmm.
Mm-hmm. I see. Thank you very much, Tony, for these lovely experiences that you share with us. And my next question, maybe I will hear it the first time from you and also our audiences. What was your favorite moment or experience in your own education?
Oh,
Will you share with us?
question. But I promise I'll be honest. Um, I think when I was a younger teacher, like I said, I was quite a good teacher. I was very popular with my students. They were always saying, you know, how much I helped them learn.
Mm-hmm.
If they had to take exams, usually they got good results. You know, um, but I think it kind of coincided with my first masters that I
Mm-hmm.
started to do my first master, and um, I think my ego had got too big. You know,
I
that
see.
my students were doing well, they were learning a lot, and that it was all because of me. You know,
Mm-hmm.
how I approached it. But then, you know, I started to think deeper about learning, not about
Yeah.
teaching, you know, and it was a big
Mm-hmm.
realization for me to sort of wake up.
Yes.
Wow, I'm not doing the learning, you know.
I see.
It's
Yeah.
students that are doing the learning, and I'm just
Mm-hmm.
trying my best to help them. Yeah. Now it
Yeah.
might sound like a small thing, but for me, that was very powerful, and it conditioned that thing and helped keep my ego in check. You know, I
I
was
see.
young. Of course, when you're young, you know, you can do things like that. Wonderful teacher, nah, 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 nah. But as you grow up, as you mature, you take a more mature position
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Yes.
on your learning and teaching philosophy. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, it was that kind of awakening, which
I see.
and hopefully I've been able to keep that, you know,
Mm-hmm.
all through my career, you know,
I see.
um, and that was possibly the biggest thing that impacted me. Yeah.
I understand. It's very, very important and very, very nice the moment that you have about it. Thank you very much, Tony.
Yeah.
And my next question: we know that you have been living and working in Turkey for a long time. Uh,
More than most young Turks.
Probably, yeah, you are right. More than young. And
I've just noticed you could actually be my son.
yeah, why it could be. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'm that age. Probably, you are right. Because when you came here, I've just born it. As you know, I was born in 1985. You mentioned that one. Okay, and so as we know that you have been working in Turkey and for a long time. So what is the as a foreign worker, I mean teacher, what is the most challenging part of working in Turkey for you?
Oh,
Yeah.
you're gonna get me in trouble here.
And okay, and maybe you can add also some positive sides.
Don't worry. I think the thing that I found most challenging or frustrating
I see.
is the quality of leadership and management
Ah.
in
Mhm.
Turkey. You know, I know there are some good directors, some good principals, some good vice around, but I just find it terribly frustrating that in education we still have so many eski kafalılar, örümcek kafalı. You know, we've got teachers who've got some really good ideas.
Mhm.
You know, they become scared to take those risks to do something a little bit different because of the patron mentality. You know,
Right.
can't do this, the patron won't let me do it. You know, or the Millier team doesn't allow us to do this.
I see.
And you know, everything that comes with that. You know, I have to show respect to stupid people, basically. I know I can work with a group of teachers and we can get some really good stuff done. But because we've got a stupid manager or a stupid leader, people are scared, you know, and it shouldn't be like that, you know.
I see.
What should happen is the managers, the leaders of schools should be acting as role models for all these young teachers.
Yes.
Move us along. I mean, one thing that was interesting for me is when I came back from Australia, you know, with Dubai and all the other places, I think I went for a long time, you know, almost 20 years I was. And then when I came back, so many things were the same. You know, okay, maybe we had more projectors in classrooms, but the leadership systems, the way we approach curriculum hadn't evolved, hadn't changed. Maybe I didn't notice it when I was younger because I was mostly in the classroom. Maybe I was lucky because I was a native speaker when I was younger. You know, they just kind of said, oh, leave him alone. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
But when I come back and I have to work with other people, especially, you know, on the founders board, you know, you have a founder at a university.
Exactly.
You've got other deans around. Like I'm not saying everybody, but I found them so limiting, you know.
I see.
And that is really why I decided not to go back into an institutional environment, because it would have been an institution like Bakırköy because of this. So it's definitely that. I mean, Turks as a community, on the whole, they are very creative. You know, they love breaking rules. You know, they do.
Yeah, you are right.
It is. I mean, we know that. You know, it's not a lack of creativity, but what it is, you know, the top people in organizations stop us using that energy and that creativity in a good way. And then, you know, their response is, I'm the boss, shut up. You know, there's no discussion, there's no in it. You know, it's just, even though I know better, even though I've got more experience, you cannot win with these people. Yeah. So I'm waiting for them all to die and all my young come
Yeah.
up.
It's a nice point about it.
Yeah, I mean, what can you do? Yeah, what can you do? Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. But it's really nice.
You know,
It's great to hear these things from you, Tony, to think what you think about it, the working. But these are some reality. You are right. You are totally right.
you know. Mhm.
I see. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Tony. And I would like to move to another question. So, which is, as you know, that we are all facing real difficulties because of COVID-19. You know, when the first it comes up, we all move from face-to-face education to distance education, and which was really became difficult for some of us. But after the time in the past, we will handle it, and now we used to it, and we are using this online systems for our lessons. But what do you think about this distance education? What is your idea about it?
Okay, all right. Well, first, I probably make a distinction between distance education, which I see as something being more the realm of mature learners,
I see.
adults, one of my, pardon me, one of my master's program was entirely distance, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't have done that when I was 18 years old. I certainly couldn't have done it when I was 16 years old. So I tend to make that distinction. The new phrase, that has been coming up the last 18 months, remote teaching,
Mm-hmm.
is
Yeah.
something that I think characterizes what we've been doing. And if you notice, I didn't say remote learning. Over, like I said, over the past 18 months, I've literally worked with thousands of teachers.
Yes.
I can't even count how many. Helping them make that adjustment to
Mm-hmm.
using online materials, doing classroom management in remote classrooms, and so on. And the biggest challenge I found is that so many teachers just weren't ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
They just weren't ready for it, and that's not their fault. We don't have, for example, like in Australia, as
Yes.
many opportunities to get real experience in remote teaching
I see.
or distance education. They have a very good reason for it because they've got a huge piece of land and everybody's spread out. It makes
Yeah.
us, we were kind of hit by it, and we just weren't ready. Teachers didn't really know enough about online learning culture themselves. They
I see.
didn't know a lot about using the technology. I mean, the vast majority of teachers I spoke to had never heard of Zoom, 18 months ago. But just to give
I see.
an example, they weren't familiar with a lot of the tools and the apps you need to use to put together an engaging class or an engaging lesson. And because they didn't have that experience, we were all panicking. Everyone was just rushing. I know how hard people were working, trying to learn the platform, trying to use the other things. And on the other side of the coin, students weren't familiar with these things. We talk about our students being digital natives now. Well, yeah, in some things, but certainly not using, MS Teams as a classroom environment. They've got no idea, they've got no idea about how to use an app like Seesaw to make a reflective video on the work that they've done. So teachers and students were both together, when you put those things together, I think what started see was an increase in a lot more of the traditional teaching that we've been trying to move away from in the face-to-face classrooms.
I see.
Teachers told me that. They said, Tony, I can't control my kids on Zoom. You know, they're their phones, they're switching off their mics. What do I do? You know? And so they drifted back into this control, spoon feeding, repeating, and they know in their heart of hearts that their students are not really learning. I know now there's a you know, about all this lost learning time, but most teachers know the year before 2020, they could do a lot more with their students, and they were working hard to stay communicative, you know, do work, do pair work, expect with a few ideas. But when they got locked into this situation of remote teaching and they were underprepared, I think we started, you know, taking the football back into our own half of the.
Yeah, you are right. I think.
That having been said, a lot of people started a lot more confident this year. That thing, I saw more confidence in people.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and that
we are
good. Yeah, I think it'll really take until next year. Look at something like this as a 3-year cycle. Kids going through primary school, you know, secondary school, high school, into Hazlitt. You know, as more and more kids get used to it,
I see.
They will have that exposure a little bit more. So the question needs to be then is, are we creating the right kind of remote classroom culture in our students? And
that's a good point. Yeah.
Whether we've been successful or whether there's still more work to do.
I see. Thank you very much for this precious ideas, Tony, and suggestions about distance learning. And another point that which is related with distance learning, you know, sometimes we really face difficulties to motivate the students for online learning. What do you suggest to teachers to motivate their students to online learning?
I'm going to respond in a way that I learned from somebody who's done hundreds of interviews, and throw the question back to you. Yeah. Look at the question you asked me.
I see.
What can we do to motivate our students in online classrooms? Do you think there's a problem with that question?
I think it is a problem. I can't. I don't know what can.
Not only you who ask me the tough questions, I'm going to come back at you. Yeah? What I think is wrong with your question, and I'm not saying this in a negative way.
No, of course.
It tells us about how we're approaching the issue of motivation. Yeah.
I see.
And even when we translate it into Turkish, it's the same in Turkish. Yeah, we are motivating our students. Saçmalama. Yeah, motivate our students. Maybe we can temporarily, you know, like some teachers give their younger students stickers. Some teachers offer them chocolates. You know, that's a bribe. It's not motivation. Yeah.
I see.
And the whole point there is we cannot motivate anybody. Yeah. Now I know people talk about intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. You know, what I say is that there's no difference. All motivation is intrinsic. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
right.
why I can't motivate anybody. Yeah, what I can do is I can establish a trusting, caring, compassionate relationship with my students so that they trust me. I can do that. You know, it takes time, but I can do that. Yeah. But does that mean that student will be motivated? No. Some
No.
students might know that, but they don't give a shit about English. They don't. Yeah. So my job is to develop a situation which is engaging. It might
Engaging.
ah, that's cool. If I learn more of that, then I can do it. Or oh, I never thought about grammar in that way. Grammar looks so easy now. So my role is to engage them, to build a relationship with them, and that's the background.
I
Yeah,
see.
the teacher. You know, my job is to develop sexy, engaging activities. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. But then the question becomes, does that mean that these students will learn? Not 100%. I can't guarantee that my engaging lessons will
Uh-huh.
transfer to motivation. I can't
I see.
guarantee that good motivation will transfer into learning and success. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we don't know that. We haven't done any kind of science behind that. But at a gut feeling, I know that what most of us talk about in terms of motivation is carrots and sticks.
Yeah.
You know, I've got a donkey and I want the donkey to move. I will offer carrots and it'll come. That's a bribe. But I've got a stick and I will punish the donkey. Yeah. That is a terrible way to think. You know, like lots of schools say, let's give students a quiz every week.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that will motivate them to learn. You're pure. A quiz doesn't motivate them to learn. It motivates them to hate the school and hate the teacher. That's what it does. Yeah.
I
Um,
see.
how can I bribe these students? You know, you can't do it. So that idea of a teacher being able to motivate students is an assumption and it's wrong.
I
Yeah?
see.
It's the same way, for example, my wife, as lovely as she is, can't motivate me to do anything. Yeah. But most wives are lucky. They've got a big stick to beat. That's not motivation. That's not motivation. Yeah, that's something else. They're threats and bribes. And we know people don't learn well in the long term because of threats and bribes.
I see. I see.
Does that mean
Wonderful.
I'm talking rubbish?
No, that's a perfect point. You grab us really great. It was a really wonderful suggestions. And Aydan hocam says maybe chocolate instead of carrots.
I bribe students, yeah. Chocolate lasts a little bit longer. It lasts 3. Carrots last 1 day. But then what's the problem? Next week, how much chocolate do the kids want? Double. Next month, how much chocolate do they want? Triple, quadruple. It doesn't solve the real motivation problem. Yeah.
I
I
see.
need
And
to hear. Yeah. Can we say that motivation and autonomy are connected? Definitely. Definitely. If a kid doesn't want to be, self-autonomous in how they approach learning, you're probably going to know that they have a very low
mhm,
motivation level at the same time. Yeah,
definitely.
it's there. Mm-hmm.
Definitely wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you, Tony, for this the great suggestions and looking at this question in a different point. Wonderful. And my next question is about the students to take ownership of their learning. Actually, we have just a little bit mentioned that point, but how can we help as a teacher to our students to take ownership of their learning? Can you give us some suggestions about it? But
when we look at the question again,
yeah,
students take ownership of their learning. Who are they taking ownership? Surely it's theirs anyway, if they want it. But unfortunately, we've developed a learning culture, a teaching culture in Canım Türkiye. It happens in other countries as well, but we've developed this culture where teachers own everything. And when teachers own everything, for example, which page are we going to look at of the textbook today? Which topic are we going to look at today? Which vocabulary am I going to teach my kids today? All ownership, all that power. Because remember, ownership is really about power, is in the hands of the teachers. And students, in a way, are outsiders. They're outsiders of their own learning process. They're outsiders of their own assessment processes. They're outsiders in terms of curriculum. And then we ask the question, even, how can I motivate? How can I motivate my students? Well, you can start motivating them by not holding on to all of the power and owning it. Start sharing it, And if we start sharing from kindergarten to grade 1 to grade 2, and this is what I tell young teachers, we'll get a very different culture of learning growing. These stupid leaders and managers don't get away.
I see.
I mean, what you're really looking at and what teachers should ask themselves is, how should I make my students a learning insider? How should I make my students an assessment insider? How can I make my students a curriculum insider? Now, of course, I'm not saying that little Ahmet in kindergarten can do that, but we can start by giving them a little bit of choice, and that choice gets bigger.
I see.
And we ask them to justify why they've made their choices.
I see.
Then when kids are a little older, we can talk to them about ownership and power and things like that, and how it relates to their real life. And how they feel when they don't have a lot of ownership. Oh, I feel demotivated. I feel deep power. And you can start to build that up with students. So my biggest piece of advice is start looking for ways to stop your students being outsiders and turn them into insiders. And then, inshallah, we'll get a different culture of learning. Because at the moment, a lot of their parents have this weird culture of learning. Just do what I did 30 years ago and you'll be okay. Older principles, I've got the same idea. Spoon feed, spoon feed, spoon feed. And students become great. No, they might become good students.
I see.
You can get good grades, but they certainly don't become good learners. They certainly don't become the best learner that they can be, because they've still got people saying, oh, don't ask that question. When they do ask a question, people will say, oh, you'll understand when you're older. I'm sorry, if a kid is asking a question about autonomy and ownership and becoming an insider they are ready to have that conversation. Our kids are not stupid. Even when they're in kindergarten, they just lack experience and sophistication. But it starts to grow very quickly. Yeah?
I understand. Great.
Okay. Can I ask
Thank
you? Okay.
And
probably going to break your protocol. Can I smoke a cigarette?
It's your choice. Whatever. Aydan Hocam ask a question here. Are we talking about a group of mythical students who are self-motivated, autonomous, and responsible? And where are they?
No, I mean, she's got a good point, because these are the students that we've got now. But we need to ask that question. Where have these students come from? First, they've come from their parents. Yeah?
Yeah.
A parent is a kid's first teacher. Yeah? And they've got these weird ideas. But that having been said, yeah, the majority of a student's ideas about a culture of learning, a culture of teaching, a culture of assessment come from their experiences, their formal experiences in schools. Now, my point will be is there have been instances where schools have made a lot of very successful changes. In the same school, there have been 3 or 4 teachers that have made successful changes. So the question, the question then becomes, why have some schools been able to do it? Why have some teachers been able to do it, but others haven't? Yani, it is possible, but we've got to start talking about this, and we've got to start sharing ideas for how to make this happen. You know, I remember back in the early 80s, everybody was talking about, oh, communicative language teaching will never work. You know, but it did for a lot of people. Why? What is it about those schools? What is it about those teachers that can make such changes?
I see. There is another question here, and it says, Gurr creation. I am one of those students, but partly because I had Tony Hoca. It's a good point.
Daughter, she's listening.
Wonderful.
But
wonderful.
Looking at it from a parent perspective. Yeah.
I see.
That's the difference. With her, I was able to do the right thing. Not always. I made mistakes. Yeah. By being a parent, I was getting her to think as much as I could about certain things when she was young. Yeah. She actually got frustrated at school, you know, because she would say, Dad, my school doesn't think like you. When we went to Australia, she found herself in one of these much more creative, flexible schools. And she blossomed, you know. She did far better than she ever did in a traditional British school when we were in Dubai. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, it is possible.
It is possible. Great. Thank you, Tony. Thank you. And can I move to the next question?
Happy.
Okay, great. So it's about grammar teaching techniques. Look, and what do you suggest to the teachers who are still using traditional ways of grammar teaching techniques for their students? I know.
All these questions really get me in trouble, aren't you? Yeah. Nobody will speak to me after this. Yeah. I mean, we have a lot of Turkish teachers who are very strong in the area of grammar teaching in Canım Turkey. They are. That's the culture they were brought up in. Now, I don't know what happened, for example, between 1950, 1960, when lots of grammar teaching was taking place, and we produced wonderful English language speakers. Maybe it was this problem of massification. You know, we grew too fast, too quickly. We couldn't implement enough changes in faculties of education. Maybe our standards fell. You know, some of our teachers were not as good as they were there. But we have to remember that those teachers learned and taught using the grammar translation methods.
I see.
Some of those students who are my age and a bit older learn amazing English. Okay. What I will say now is, you've said traditional ways of grammar teaching. I think the issue there is there's lots of different ways to teach grammar. Yeah. And I would never say we shouldn't teach any grammar. I would never say that, because grammar's like skills, it's like vocabulary. We need enough. Yeah, we need enough of everything. But the problem is how much emphasis you put on it. And I'm looking at Aidan Hodja here.
Yeah.
She's saying
stop grammar highlighting
grammar all the time, because we've discovered highlighting grammar all the time doesn't give us the success that we want. You know, kids who've had it in secondary school come to high school and they haven't got the grammar, despite the fact they focused on it. Yeah. The kids who have had a lot of grammar input in high school end up in Hazlitt. Why is that? Yeah. We know, for example, a lot of students who have problems with very deep fossilization. We can't get rid of those problems through grammar teaching. Yeah?
I see, yes.
We know from all the research, a structured syllabus that goes simple present, present continuous, simple past, past continuous, does help students get better as language speakers or as communicators. Yeah. So I mean, when we look at that question, and I remember there were very big questions around the time that communicative language teaching came in and task-based came in, was this idea: should we teach grammar? Okay, I think that's a stupid question. Yeah. Of course we should. Yeah. But then the next question was, if we should teach grammar, what's the best way to do it? Okay. Now, one thing that I've found is a lot of our teachers in Canım Türkiye'm, when they say traditional, what they're doing is they're doing rule-based grammar teaching. Yeah, we do it like mathematics, like algebra.
I see.
You know, like writing algorithms, you know, for computers. Yeah. But our language brain doesn't work like that. You know, when I came to Turkey, I'd never heard this thing about verb 1, verb 2, verb 3. You know, Turkey is the only country that does it. Yeah. Yeah. That's the issue. What I say there is rule-based over grammar teaching is wrong.
I see.
That's the issue with me. Helping students with grammar when they really need it is possibly the most successful way. You know, they're working on a project, they're doing some reading test, they want to produce something. And that goes back to what I said about motivation. I design a couple of engaging tasks that students want to do. Yeah, they work on it. I help them work on it. And then they're going to hit a wall. They're going to hit a problem.
I see.
Now, that might be a preposition wall. It might be a phrasal verb wall. It might be a tense wall. But I have got their attention and they will listen to me. So what I'm doing is just in time teaching of grammar, not just in case. And that's what we've done. Just in case is based on so many textbooks that we start them on in primary school. Some kids even get the same textbooks in secondary school, yeah, because all of those textbooks do the same thing. You know, it's the conveyor belt of structured grammar teaching. It doesn't work. It really.
You are right.
Mm-hmm.
You are right. And Flo. Yeah. Okay. Good. There is a comment about it. In the session. Yeah. I'm really sorry, Tony. Can I add something here to our listeners? Because during the sessions, I try to grab all your questions and divert to our guests. But sometimes, of course, we have also some questions here to ask to him. So that's why if I miss any questions that you ask, and sorry for that one, but I'll try to ask as much as I can from you. And thank you very much for that one. And that's it. Okay, Tony, thank you very much for this about the grammar, the traditional, the way that's teaching techniques. That was really, really clear and really, really, educative for us. Thank you. And can I move next question?
Yeah. Come on, Volkan Hocam, you're the boss. You're the
okay. Yeah. All right. Okay, so I see. So the other question is about what is the single the greatest truth that you think a language teacher should be aware of?
Oh, I'll go back to that question that you asked me at the beginning. If a teacher thinks that their students are learning because they are teaching, they are wrong. Yeah, the biggest truth that a teacher needs to consider is teachers cannot create learning. Mm-hmm. Only students can create that learning in their head.
I see.
In their hearts. Yeah.
I see.
So when people say, what do you do? And you say, I'm a teacher. Yeah, being a teacher is important, but it's what kind of teacher are you? So the whole point that we've got there is, I think it's better for teachers to acknowledge that their role is not just to teach stuff.
I see.
Your role is to create the best learning environment you can. Yeah. That means, good relationships, doing things that are interesting and your kids are motivated to learn about. Yeah.
I see.
Pushing the envelope a little bit. Getting them to experiment with things that they haven't done before, so they get more familiar with risk-taking and success when they take risks. Yeah. Definitely. Because that creates the learning in the students. Yeah. And I can't take full credit for that. The students will also take the credit. So in a way, what we recognize is that learning is a kind of co-creation.
I see.
It's student and it's me working together. So I can't blame the student if the student doesn't want to learn. I'm not just going to blame myself. No, I'm not just going to say those bloody students. My lesson. It's not. It works together, and that's why that point that I said before about making sure we do as much as possible to make students insiders. Yeah.
Really, you're right.
Inside, then they become a co-creator. Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you, Tony. Thank you. And what about superpowers? I really wonder, what are you going to say about it? I was thinking these questions, and what is going to say about this question? If you could have one superpower to use in the classroom, what would it be, and how would it help?
Well, I'm because I'm getting a little bit older now. I move around the classroom as quickly, so I would like Mr. Fantastic stretchy arms, so I could go to the other side of the classroom and pull his ear. No, I would never do that. I think if I mind reading, the ability to read somebody's mind. Now, that would be for me to look in my students' heads, yeah, and see how much they'd understood. Yeah, you know, now we're talking all about this big data, gathering data, so you can change your lesson. Screw that. If I can read students' minds, I know exactly where they are. On a lesson, I can redo something, I can do that. That having been said, that's for a learning context. From a teacher perspective, because you know we just have too many things to do and there's not enough hours in the day, I would like the ability to freeze time.
Yeah, that's a great superpower.
I've got 300 pieces of homework to mark. I'm just going to freeze time for 5 days. You know, and I'll do 10 pieces here, 10 pieces here. I won't get tired. Nobody will notice.
That's it. It's a great superpower, really. I think the time freezing, we all need that superpower to freeze time. Because this time, we know that time is not enough, especially these days.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Tony, for this nice ideas and suggestions about it. So, my next question is about the learning trend, Tony. So, which learning trend captures your attention the most, and why? Like mobile learning, project-based learning, content-based, or game-based learning?
I must admit, I'm not a trend person. I always get suspicious of trends. And maybe because I'm a dinosaur, I've been around forever. I've seen nearly every single trend come and go 3 or 4 times. But a couple of things which are big and seem to be quite important at the moment. I mean, one of them is this idea of engagement and motivation. Because for me, without really focusing on those areas, without doing more research on them, without doing more practical risk taking to make it work, I think it's going to be tough for us to improve student learning and student success. Yeah,
I see.
I told you I made a distinction between motivation and engagement. And from what I say is that motivation is the student's job. You know, they have to motivate. Yeah. My job is engagement.
Engagement.
Yeah. I have to do things which engage the student. Will I be successful 100% of the time? No, of course not. Yeah. Just like students, even a very, you know, committed, hardworking student who loves English, you know, sometimes they're going to have bad days as well.
You're right.
But generally, focusing on that area. The other one that I'm very interested in is this idea of evidence-based teaching.
I see.
Because ELT hasn't really become a profession. You know, it was started in the 60s, you know, and mostly by old British people who didn't want to be teachers anymore, drinking beer in the pub, you know, with the methods that we use. They came up with PPP, you know, they came up with all this stuff. all the old guys that we've got now that a lot of people still look up to as heroes. I'm not a big hero word, you know, because when you look a lot of these things, I think, well, why do we use PPP? It clearly doesn't work. Certainly doesn't work with kids. Yeah, where did it come from? I know where it came from. It was six guys, and they were all men sitting in a pub there next door to International House, who said, let's come up with a sexy acronym that we can teach every teacher. PPP, boom, boom, boom. But there's no science behind it. There's no research behind it. A lot of the ideas that we got in the 70s and the 80s about the creative classroom or group work or pair work, I'm sure they just made this crap up, you know. What we've got to do, and we've started to realize that now in general education, you know, these things are learning myths, you know, a lot of talking about those things, you know, the what is it, the pyramid, you know, the bottom of the pyramid, you learn this much when you are told something. You learn this much when they tell you something and they show you. You learn at the top of the pyramid. You learn the most when you teach people. Yeah, such manama, yeah.
Yeah.
The guy in America invented this, and we took it. Yeah, we took it into our knowledge bank. You know, so now I get to the point where we're facing problems. Serious motivation problems, serious learning problems with our students. Yeah? Now we've entered a whole brave new world with remote teaching, and that's bringing up other problems for us. You know, so it's time, you know, we get rid of all these ideas that have been made from cookie cutters, we call them.
I see.
And start looking at, you know, evidence-based stuff. If you want to share an idea with me, I should be able to say, yeah, the left-right brain thing, that was the one that came up. The total myth. One guy had a traffic accident, and they based the study on this guy whose half of his brain was gone. I'm sorry. We have 7 billion people who have a full brain.
Yeah, you are right.
It's full brain, not half brain, or not no brain, like politicians. Yeah. So
good point.
That's something I'm very interested in, and I think it's something that teachers can get more involved in as well, because teachers do a lot more work in the classroom. The kind of things they write up, the kind of things that they produce are much easier to communicate to other teachers rather than, you know, a few, and some people will hate me for this, some dry academics who haven't been in the classroom for 40 years. I can get some ideas from a couple of young teachers who've had 10 years experience, and they're taking risks and they're doing things, you know. That's where I'd like to have.
I see. Thank you very much.
Hi, Dan Hodger. We have millions of people with no.
I see that. Thank you, Aydan. And Tony, I think Kubra is asking a question. Why does it always have to be about students? Sometimes I just ask them to entertain me with some nice projects, which can be funny in their way. Okay. You would be surprised with how they can be smarter.
Okay. You're right. You know, you're right. There are lots of teachers who are doing hard work, who are overworked, who are depressed, you know, who are looking to do something different. Yeah. Agree with that statement. Switch Aidan off. She's trolling me. Yeah.
No, she.
And I think the thing there is it's the issue of accountability. Yeah. Of course, we can do some of those things, and in fact, that's a way to keep students active. But we can't justify it along the lines of I'm bored too, I'm burned out too, because accountability, you know, relates to us. We have taken the job as an educator. We are taking a salary for the work that we are doing. The kids are not. Yeah.
I see.
The kids are our charges, if you will. And I know that might sound like an old-fashioned word, but that's what it is. Yeah, you know, they are our charges. Yeah, our number one priority as teachers has to be the kids. Yeah,
I see.
If we can do something that's engaging and gets the kids active, of course, but we don't justify it by saying I get bored or I'm burnt out. Yeah, that's.
I see.
Yeah.
I got it. And by the way, Aydan Hocam says me trolling, and she said I don't think so. That you just said she's not. Aydan Hocam, you are very precious for us.
That's how much I love her.
Okay, thank you. And by the way, time really flies, Tony, and I don't know how to end up our sessions. But as you know, that only just 2 questions left. And then our session finish. I don't know how to finish it because I really don't want to finish it because this is a wonderful, really great session with you, with lots of wonderful ideas, suggestions. But
I'm getting things off my chest.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And Tony, my next question is, what are your favorite 3 websites to suggest to use in teaching?
Okay, actually, I was very happy you told me this was a question, because if I'd have been trying to think of them off the top of my head, I would have got stuck. Yeah. One of the things that I've got, I know a lot of teachers like to go to websites just to get an idea and use it in their classroom the next day. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, those teachers are much busier than I am with students. I get that. But for me, if I'm going to recommend a website, I would like to recommend things that will give them ideas, but will also make them think. You know, which is why I like a lot of the blogs that I do. So, for example, one of the ones I like for teaching ideas, very quick teaching ideas, but they make you think about an area, is Teach Thought. Yeah. Now, some of you might know that.
It's a wonderful site.
Teachthought.com. You know, there's that one, because they often group things thematically, and they will put in 15, 20 ideas, because not all those ideas will work in every environment. So you can experiment with a few of them. If they don't work, push them aside. Find a few that do work, but I like the way they do it, because they talk generally about a theme and how important it is and the rationale behind it. So they write good posts, and they give us ideas. I mentioned the other one, evidence-based teaching, evidence-based learning. There's another site like that I love, and it's called Evidence Informed ELT. Evidence Informed ELT. Now that is Russ Main. I don't know if you've heard about him. He's a bit of a rising star, or has been for the last 5 years. You know, he's not one of these old guys who were drinking beer in International House in the 60s. You know, he could probably be my son. Another one, Rusmayne, Rusmayne. Yeah? Rusmayne. .wordpress.com. Yeah. Now he been pushing these kind of things, so he does little research summaries that are very easy to read. He criticizes old wives' tales in English language teaching, and I like that because when we're being more critical, we can come up with our own ideas as well. So that one is definitely another one. The third one, again, I try to group them a little bit. Another one I like, it's very similar to Teach Thought, is called Inform Ed.
Inform Ed.
INFORMED. Yeah. Now their website is www.opencolleges.edu.au. Yeah,
I see.
And they do the same. You know, they give lots of practical ideas, but they also talk about what the real problem is and how we can fix it. Yeah. In terms of technology, my favorite ever, because I know we teachers are very poor. We don't get enough. All these stupid get all the money, we get nothing. The other one is called Free Technology for Teachers.
Free technology
for Teachers. And this is free tech for the number 4 teachers. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And we've got that. Now that one is great because he will only share software and apps and tools that are free. Yeah, that don't cost us any money, which I like.
See.
You know, it's a public.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's a public service. Yeah,
I see. I hope I wrote correctly.
Yeah, I mean, I can send you the links anyway later on.
Yeah, I would be happy about it if you can do that. Mm-hmm.
All right. So few of them I was thinking. I've got lots of others because I like digging into blogs, especially in the morning. You know, I get up early and I do a lot of my reading in the morning. Yeah.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tony, for these great web pages. I'm sure that we will have a benefit from that pages. And ready for the last question, Tony?
Hello.
Yeah.
Remember I said to you, will we cover all your questions in an hour? Yes, yeah, of course we will.
Yeah, it's of course. It's an hour. That's why I try to make it in an hour. Okay, and the last and the most difficult question, Tony. What is your motto?
What is my motto? When I was a younger teacher, it was always question everything. Yeah, be curious. You know, don't accept everything as truth that people tell you. You know, question everything. Now I'm getting a little bit more mature, not older, more mature.
Yeah, of course.
I've sort of built it more into my learning and teaching philosophy, and that motto. I never thought about it motto, but you know, learning is not a newspaper. It cannot be delivered.
I see.
Now you can see there that there's an indirect criticism there of all these ed tech companies who say, deliver your lessons, deliver your content. They know nothing learning. You know, they know about content delivery. But as we've seen actually with a lot of the remote classrooms over the past you know, technology on its own doesn't work. And that's a good thing. Yeah. It's good technology with good teachers. That's where you get the best result.
Yeah.
And we move forward. I think what we're looking at is, you know, much more of a blended system, yeah, so that we can get the benefits of good face-to-face teaching, you know,
Yeah.
especially with speaking skills, you know, that's so important. Even with things like writing, you know, to co-create a piece of writing together and give each other clues and hints and those things, you know, they're really important. You know, technology is going to become a bigger part of our lives. Yeah. So I would still maybe keep my foot on, question everything, especially with regards to technology. Yeah.
I see. Yeah.
Learning is not a newspaper. It cannot be delivered, but can be co-created.
Co-create. I see. See. Thank you very much, Tony. Thank you for this wonderful final answer for the final question. So, Tony, would you like to? That's all my questions. And would you like to add something before finishing our live session?
Do your other guests usually add something? You've totally worn me out. I'm exhausted. I didn't think it would be this tough, but you know, you got some good questions there. You got me focused. Some of them I thought, okay, I don't need to prepare for this, but you made me think things as I was doing it. So no, I'm happy. It was a good interview. Like I said, I promised you I'd be honest. If I don't get any work from tomorrow, I'm going to come back and you. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, about this. But I said things. Yeah.
Okay. No problem.
No, and thanks for everybody who popped in. I've loved being able to see some of the comments at the bottom. That's been nice. Yeah.
Yeah, there are lots of things. Yeah. And Nilgün says, Aydan Hocam once said, do you want to finish the lesson plan? Go home, wear your pajama, and finish it. It's not something to finish. That's a very similar opinion.
Yes. Very much. Very much. Yeah.
All right. Okay, then. And that's all for today. And I would like to say, Tony, thank you for being my guest tonight and sharing your precious ideas and especially your precious time with us, and your suggestions too, of course. And we had a really perfect night tonight because of you. Your ideas, your whatever you said, they were really precious, and I had really enjoyed listening to you tonight. And I feel lucky to have the chance to listen to you tonight. I'm sure that all the listeners feel the same. And really, this is important to having you here. And that's all. And also, I would like to say thank you to all the participants to our live sessions. You were great. And I hope you get something really nice from these sessions. Even if you get one little thing from this session, it's really important for us. But I am sure that you had lots of precious and important knowledge from this session. And thank you one more time to you, Tony, and also to our listeners. And you know that next week we will have another session, and on Monday at 9 o'clock, same day and at the same time. And that's all for tonight. Dr. Tony Gurr was with us, and maybe next time and in the future we will have another chance to have him here. And until that day, take care of yourselves, and good evening, good night, good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you are, and take care of yourselves. And I would like to say bye, I think. Bye. Hey Allah. Take care of yourself. Peace, everybody. Bye-bye.
Take care. Take care.
Take care. Bye.